every morning. What I want, that's what I want.
I've always been dirt poor. I've had to beg, borrow, and sometimes even steal to have anything to my name. At this point, my parents hate me. However, I never have been or will be desperate enough to kidnap or kill. Ransom crimes, or crimes where someone must be paid in order to have someone who's kidnapped be released, were first seen in the United States in the late 19th century. Today, we will be focusing on the first ransom case in the United States, and we will take a look at one of the most famous ransom cases in order to analyze how they have changed from the 19th century to today. Charley Ross. Does the name ring any bells? Of course not, because he was captured and never found. On July 1st, 1874, two kids, 6-year-old Walter Ross and 4-year-old Charley Ross, were abducted from their suburban Philadelphia home after two men promised to buy them firecrackers if they went into their buggy. Ross boys hopped right in, not knowing any better. The two men dropped Walter off right in front of the store, giving him 25 cents. In an instant, they drove away with Charley. Just days later, the story of this abduction was in print, both in newspapers and ransom notes. Charley's father, Christian K. Ross, received a ransom letter demanding $20,000 if he wanted Charley back. After ignoring this ransom note, Christian received 22 more. The ransom notes were illegible and with both hard-to-read handwriting and horrible grammar. The whole city of Philadelphia took action. A Pittsburgh Post-Gazette article dated December 9, 1941, explains that it was estimated that an army of 5,000 men and women of various walks of life were at one time working on the case. People even wrote songs about the kid. In 1875, composer William H. Brockway and lyricist Dexter Smith wrote "Bring Back Our Darling," dedicated to Charley Ross. Charley Ross was never found, despite the numerous attempts. According to ushistory.org, the father began the search for his son that he would continue to his death in 1897. Since Christian's death is confirmed, it's safe to say that Charley is also dead, considering he would be about 145 years old today. However, the kidnappers were found after 5 extensive months of investigation. The two men were William Osher and Joseph Douglas. Brittany A. DeVito's article, 23 Letters, A Child Lost Forever, shows that Douglas confessed to the crime. Douglas stated moments before his death, "It's no use lying now. Mosher and I stole Charley Ross from Germantown. God knows I tell you the truth. I don't know where he is. Mosher knew." Chances are you came into this video not knowing who Charley Ross was, whether you thought he was the owner of the store Ross or a bootleg Charlie Brown. It's also possible that you may think that ransom crimes are nothing to worry about or that they aren't relevant in today's society. And that's where you're wrong. Does the name JonBenet Ramsey ring any bells? What about this conspiracy theory that Katy Perry actually is JonBenet Ramsey? That's a whole other video. But JonBenet Ramsey was a 6-year-old pageant star who was killed on Christmas Day in her basement, 1996. It's kind of ironic that her last name is Ramsey. It kind of sounds like ransom. You get it. Anyways, the details about JonBenet's death have always been hazy, and to this day, the crime is still unsolved. However, her parents claim that JonBenet was missing 8 hours before her death, and that her mother, Patsy, found a ransom note at the bottom of the staircase. If the ransom note was not staged, like many believe it is, then one can conclude that this was a kidnapping. However, the ransom note itself was rather suspicious. It asked for $118,000, which is a very specific amount. And just like the ransom notes of the Charley Ross case, the handwriting was illegible, thus not leading to any conclusions about who wrote it. JonBenet was not only strangled and allegedly kidnapped, but she was also sexually assaulted. Her autopsy showed scraping and swelling of the child's vaginal area and abrasion of the left lower back. all of which can be traced to sexual assault. So, what does this all tell us? From the 19th century to today, ransom cases have intensified. Cases nowadays typically involve murder or assault, thus causing them to be more relevant in today's society. Since Charlie Ross's case was simply just a kidnapping, it only sparked controversy throughout the country for a short while, and eventually it died out. Since JonBenet Ramsey's case was a combination of sexual assault, possible kidnapping, and murder, all of which were never solved, it sparked more controversy. Her case happened 20 years ago and is still a hot topic for conspirators, or really anyone interested in crime. Not to mention the obvious, the fact that there wasn't television and internet back in the day. And also, society has become more interested in crime, with shows such as How to Get Away with Murder and hundreds of videos on crime cases out there, such as this one. Education also plays a big part in the intensification of ransom crimes. Throughout elementary school, students are taught stranger danger, and any kid nowadays hopping into a sketchy buggy to buy fireworks would be seen as ignorant rather than a victim. Kidnappers and criminals know that kids are smart, so they find their way around this through harsher tactics such as drugging and sexual assault. In conclusion, it doesn't matter whether or not a case was over 100 years ago or 20 years ago, and it does not matter whether or not the victim was an innocent boy or an innocent beauty queen. Ransom crimes are a problem in our world today, and they have only intensified since the first recorded case in U.S. history.